Thank you so much, everyone, for giving me the opportunity to share my words on the topic that is big data analytics. As we know today, we are transforming from the normal database to the big database, right? So let's start with this a topic that is big data analytics, and I just mentioned the name, that is learning research with a new era technology. Why I mentioned this, as we have already shared that earlier we were fixed with a one centralized database, but now this time we are transforming into the big database. Means there are a number of places from where we are just getting the data, and we require to store this data in a one particular specific place, right? So let's start with this the topic that is big data analytics. Wait, please. Yes. So, as we were discussing that we are going to start the discussion on the big data, right? So, first of all, we need to discuss about the history of the data first. It says that there are few lines that are in front of you which are mentioned here, that data earlier was in the saved in the floppies and the small hard disk, right? But now these days data is coming from the various resources, and we require to store this data not in a local machine, we require to store in a remote machines also. Why? Because data is in the huge in the size, means data is in the form of TB and in the PB. So it's very difficult to keep this data in a one particular place, like a floppy disk or hard disk. We require some more storage area, the huge storage area, right? So these days we are using the cloud computing to understand the concept that how we can store our data in the cloud place. Cloud is what? This is our remote location where we can keep our data for the long duration, and we can access this data anywhere, right? If we are moving from one place to another, then we can get this data in a different location. So now here are few information which is related to the big data. So big data is what? That is already mentioned. That is, it's a collection of the large data sets. As we have already discussed, our data is not in the small amount, right? Like KB or MBs, right? It's converted into the TB or PB. So we cannot store this data in a one particular place. We require some more technologies through which we can save our data, right? Earlier, we can save our data with the help of the traditional computing techniques. And what were the traditional? Like RDBMS is there, through which we can save our data in a one particular machine. So now for the big data, we are having number of tools and the techniques for the storing of the data. Here you can find out this small clip is in front of you, that just providing a small information that how our data every nanosecond is collecting by the servers, right? And server having a challenge to save this data as well. So there are number of fields through which we are getting the big data. Big data means data that is huge in the size, right? So first one is the black box data. What is this black box? Black box, it says that it's a component of helicopters, aeroplanes, and the jets that captures the voice of the flight crews, and recording of microphones and earphones, right? And according to this data, we require to save it. So this is the one particular place which is known as the black box, from where we are getting the huge amount of the data, right? Like helicopters, aeroplanes, and the jets. Next one is the social media. As we know that people are each and everyone, even small kid having a mobile phone with them, electronic gadgets with them. They uses the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and there are number of applications through which every nanosecond, after every nanosecond, they are generating the data. So for each and every company, like if we talk about that, the Facebook, so Facebook also required some place where we can keep our data. Twitter also requires some storage area to keep this data that is generated by the people, right? So next one is the stock exchange data. Yes, there are number of number of shares that sell and buy, right? And by after every nanosecond, and this information is also shared to among all the people which are connected with this, right? So they require the information, so they require to update the stock market. So every time they putting the data, and server required to save this data, right? Every time they putting the data on the website, they require to save it also. So stock exchange also one of the field where we are getting the data, big data, right? Transport data also generated by the various vehicles. These days we know that our vehicles are connected with the GPS system, and we just simply put the one particular source and the destination place, and we reach at a one particular time with the help of this GPS system. So these vehicles also generating the data, right? So this also required to save it, right? Next one is a search engine. There are number of peoples are connected with the internet, and they if they require something, they just directly Google, right? So Google have their own database through which a particular person can get the information that they want to get it. So right, there are number of search engine, not Google is there. There are number of search engines are there. They just kept the data, and whenever we require to get the information, we just simply drop onto the search engine and we extract the information related to that we need to get it. So here in this uh, clip, you can find out that big data is how this big data is getting increasing day by day, like megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte, so petabyte. So in this way, our data is increasing day by day. Earlier it was concise with the one particular place. Earlier it was with the ERP, then it go with the CRM, then it's go with the web. Then now there are number of things are associated with the big data, right? And big data, we cannot say it's a single word, right? So here in on the screen, you can find out this is the combination of the three different words. The first one is a transactions, interactions, and observations, right? And in the left side, you can find out that big data is related to the volume, velocity, and the variety. There are number of V's which are associated with the big data. So here in front of you, you can find out the 8 V's, right? And the first one is the volume. Can you find the information you are looking for? Value, can you find it when you most need it? Veracity, visualization, variety, velocity, viscosity, and virality. So these are the 8 V's which are associated with this big data. So this is the brief of this that I have mentioned here.